businesses. We are leading with strong schools. We are leading with freedom, limited government, fiscal responsibility, and a commitment to defending the values that have made our country great. I am proud to report that the state of South Dakota is stronger than it has been in our 133 years.
Governor Kristi Noem giving her annual State of the State address today in Pierre, touching on several topics such as abortion, economic freedom, and education. Good evening. I'm Andrea Anderson.
I'm Brian Allen. The recurring theme of the governor's address featured the quote of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is our top story tonight at 6. During the speech, Noem outlined several pieces of legislation she is introducing this session. One such piece involves protection against mandatory COVID vaccine requirements. She also focused on the issue of social studies standards in the state. As part of that topic, she recognized Dr. Ben Carson, who was a guest during the address.
As we update our social studies standards, they must reflect America's true and honest history. Native American history will be a part of that. Our tribal culture and our heritage is essential to who we are as a state, and it must be balanced and woven into the full context of American history and civics.
The president of the South Dakota Education Association released a statement regarding Noem's address on education. In it, he states, quote, "Instead of proposing divisive legislation that will only lead to state censorship of the lessons our children learn, we urge Governor Noem to work with South Dakota educators to make sure every school has the funding necessary to provide South Dakota students the education they deserve, which is an honest and accurate education that enables them to learn from the mistakes of our past to help create a better future." Following her remarks regarding education, Austin Goss visited with the governor today after her speech.
Yeah, he joins us live with the latest reactions now from Pierre. Austin, good evening.
Good evening, Brian and Andrea. The governor's address had plenty of opportunities for applause, but it was not short on controversial topics. Heading into the last session before an election year, it set the table for what we can expect this session.
I think it's important that the people of South Dakota recognize that we are the strongest here in the state than we've been in the 133 years that we've existed.
That was the theme of Governor Noem's 2022 State of the State address to lawmakers on Tuesday. She pushed a variety of rudimentary bills on issues such as water supply and funding first responders. But she also dove into the controversial, such as a ban on abortions once a heartbeat can be detected, and a transgender sports ban bill, and another to outlaw critical race theory in the state. Former presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson was on hand to back Noem's critical race theory ban proposal.
I balance it by saying, teach the truth. You don't need to have an agenda. Just tell people what actually happened.
Critics of Noem's proposal say that many of them aren't intended to carry the weight of any law, but rather just to stir up controversy.
Neither students nor faculty check their liberty when they walk into the schoolhouse door, whether it's K-12 or higher education, and faculty should be able to speak their minds, and so should teachers, and so should students. And so whether students want to be able to engage in some sort of action civics, she has a bill to prohibit that, I think it's a threat to our intern program right here at the Capitol.
Those bills set the stage for Noem and many of her fellow Republican lawmakers to deliver victories to their voter base, with an election looming in November. But even with her laundry list of agenda items in mind, Noem wants lawmakers to take it day to day.
Well, we have to be wise. I would ask that while it'll be busy, that we need to slow down. We have unprecedented historical revenues, and we should make decisions that make the difference for the next 50 to 60 years. And to make sure that we're...
By and large, the bills that Noem talked about today will not begin making their way through committees until next week at the earliest. Live in Pierre, Austin Goss, Dakota News Now.
Austin, thank you. We'll be looking back at this address and other developments that happened during the 2022 legislative session this and every Friday on This Week in Politics in our 6:30 newscast over on KDLT. Did you know South Dakota had a bingo tax? Governor Noem brought it to our attention during her address today, and it's something she would like to do away with. According to the state's Department of Labor, all distributors shall pay a tax to the Department of Revenue of 5% of the distributor's gross sales of bingo or lottery equipment and supplies or pull tabs for use in South Dakota. The tax shall be paid by the 15th day of the month following the month in which the sales invoice was prepared on a form provided by the Department of Revenue.